The Key to It All with Keylan Moses.
This kid's incredible!
And I put that on my contract. No contest when I dress, full contact. Hey, I want my brothers, we in combat. And we want all the smoke, we want all of that. Ay.
What's going on, you guys? It's Keylan Moses, and this is The Key to It All. As you can see, I'm here by myself today, and today we're just going to be talking about mental health as an athlete. What many don't understand is that it's really hard to be an athlete nowadays, especially with, social media being involved, and a lot of people just expect you to be just an athlete when, we're all human as well. Honestly, one thing I can say is that your mindset plays a huge part in how you think in your everyday life. And what I can say personally is that, it's real hard being an athlete, especially a high caliber athlete as well. Personally, the last couple months I've been dealing with just, overthinking and overworking myself and, not feeling like I've been doing the best I can. Like a lot of people have been saying, Keylan, you've been doing so good and you're such in a good spot and this and that. But, I can never really be satisfied with myself. Like one thing about me is I'm always remain hungry. I'm always want more for myself. And, obviously people love where I'm at, want to be where I'm at. But, I'm always want more for myself and I'm always remain hungry. And, it's just real hard because at times I've been feeling like I'm stuck, stuck in quicksand. I could be doing the most and, practically overworking myself. And, it's just real hard because when you don't have anybody around telling you how good you're doing or, guiding you in the right spot, it could be real hard feeling like you're not going anywhere. And, that's one thing I can say I've done to, really cope with that and, help with that is, remain faithful, and that's my advice to anybody that's listening is just to remain faithful because ultimately there's going to be times where you feel like you're not going anywhere. There's going to be times where you feel like, things are just being repetitive and, things are just not adding up to what you want them to be. And ultimately you just got to control what you can control. I know life can be hard sometimes, but honestly, you just got to take it one day at a time because, there's going to be days where you feel like you're not getting anything out of it or you're not seeing any results. But ultimately, if you ask God for a sign, the results are right in front of you. You're waking up every day and ultimately not a lot of people have the chance to do that, So first off, you got to thank God for giving you another opportunity to live through him and ultimately live another day for him. But that's one thing I've done is just, control what I can control because ultimately a lot of things are out of your control, such as, what this person thinks about you or how this person thinks about you or whether or not this person likes you or, let's say what you're going to eat this morning. Like what you don't know or what you don't understand is that you control your destiny, honestly, and you have the power to really control anything you want in this life. So ultimately, like, no matter what it is, you're the master of your own destiny. Like, that's just really what it is. You're the master of your own destiny. And what that means is right now, I just picked up this pen. In another future or in another alternative universe, I probably wouldn't have done that. But I controlled that. I did that. So ultimately, what that means is if you put your mind to something, go for it. Ultimately, there's going to be times where you feel like you're going to doubt yourself and your abilities, but it's going to be hard. But to get what you want, that's just the gist of things. It's going to be hard. You just got to really just put your mind to it and ultimately go for it. No dream is too big and it's never too far. No ceiling's too high. You just got to keep going because, you don't want to give up. And that's what many people do nowadays is give up. You don't never want to give up on a dream you've been having for so long. And one thing that I actually read something this week saying it was on TikTok, shout out to TikTok being back. But it was on TikTok. It was saying God would never put a dream in you so big if you didn't think you were capable of going after it or, achieving it. And, that stuck with me because like, if God has faith in you, then ultimately you should have faith in him and his plan, but ultimately have faith in yourself as well. Like I said, there's going to be days where you doubt yourself and your skills and your abilities, and you're not going to have any motivation. But sometimes you don't need motivation. You need discipline. Discipline will always be better than motivation. You want to know why? Because sometimes you're not going to wake up with any motivation. You're not going to wake up with the same drive you had, yesterday or the day before that. So you just got to have discipline to wake up every morning and go after it. Like I said before, not many people get a chance to wake up each and every day and, have what you have. So you got to be grateful for what you have in the morning or what you have at the moment. So you just got to keep going because ultimately, like I said, discipline is way, way better than motivation. And honestly, what many people don't understand is that it's really easy to get off track. It's really easy to lose your concentration. It's really easy to just lose focus and get distracted. And you just got to stay focused on your main goal. If your main goal is your main goal and you just keep going, you'll achieve whatever you want to achieve. And like I said, it's going to be hard. Life is hard. God give his toughest battles to his toughest soldiers, his hardest battles. And ultimately, if he believes in you, you should believe in him and his plan. And that's another thing. Don't get caught up in the materialistic way of life and just things in general because, be grateful. You should be grateful in where you stand today because like I said before, there's not many people that, have what you have in, this life and just living life in general. And like I said, another thing, consistency is key. Consistency is a big, big key in getting what you want in this life. Because, like I said, motivation, you could have lack of motivation. You could have, you could really not feel like doing it over and over and over again. But you just got to stay consistent. Because, like I said, if you want something so big in this life, you got to stay consistent to get, remain focused, remain disciplined, and remain on track. Because ultimately, if you're not consistent, then, you'll get distracted pretty easily. And really, you just got to cut out the bad habits in your life, like staying up late, going out partying. If you really want something in this life, you should go after it. And you shouldn't be distracted by, the outside factors of things, whether it's your friends, whether it's people. One thing I pray about every morning to the Lord is, I want him to take away all the negative ways and negative people out of my life because I want to have a peace of mind and going into this new year. I don't want to have any problems with nobody. I don't want to wake up and be mad. One thing that'll carry you real far is positivity. If you stay positive, like I said, you control what you can control, your life will be so much easier. You don't have no problems with nobody. You don't have to worry about nothing. Life is just good because you're happy and you're positive. If you wake up mad, then your day's going to be bad. That's just what it is. You woke up with it on your mind to be upset. If you woke up with a smile on your face, you pray to the Lord to be happy and to have a peace of mind, then he's going to grant you with that with full faith and full glory. And ultimately, if you glorify him in everything you do, he's going to give you what you need. You just have to be on his timing. And that's one thing about me. One thing about me is I'm very impatient, very, very impatient. And my mom could tell you, my dad could tell you, anybody could tell you, I want so many things in this life. And, actually, yesterday I was really, really emotional because, one thing about me, man, is I want so much for myself. I have so many high expectations. If many of you don't know, I'm currently signed to LSU, and I will be enrolling in the next 3-4 months. And one of my main goals is to really is to play. I want to start. Obviously I could be a freshman, one of those freshmen, to get the NIL deals, the big old chains, and have all the girls, and this and that because I'm just on the football team. But I don't want to just be on the football team. I want to be on the team, and I want to make an impact, and I want to impact the team in a good way, not a bad way. And obviously, I'm a 4-star. I'm one of the top linebackers in the nation. But obviously, that won't matter in college. You have to restart, and you have to earn your stripes. And I'm really willing to do anything, and I mean anything, to get on that field and make a difference for my people in my city. That's really one of the main goals and one of the main reasons why I stayed in my state, Louisiana, because it means so much to be a Tiger and so much to me in general. And, making those big plays in Death Valley has just always been a dream of mine. And I want to make those plays as early as possible. And lately, I've just been real down on myself. I've been, overworking myself and really just, doubting my real abilities. Like sometimes I be forgetting like I'm really Keylan Moses, and a lot of people speak. I mean, my name speaks volumes. Somebody just told me that the other day. Like whenever you walk in the room, everybody's face just lights up. Really, I don't pay attention to that. Like I said, I'm real hard on myself. I don't pay attention to, you know, people talking up about me and Keelan's this, Keelan that. Oh, I ain't gonna lie. People in my school be low key like glazing me because like of how good of a player I am, how good of a person I am. But ultimately, it's just like I don't really look into that. I don't pay no mind to it. Because like I said, I really want more for myself, and I'll never be satisfied with just being the 4-star Keylan Moses. I want the buckets. I want all SEC freshmen, freshman All American, all of that. And I've just been real hard on myself lately. And some advice I could give to anybody that's listening is just take it one day at a time. Cause if you worry so much about your future, you'll forget to live in the moment of your youth, or just your life in general. It'll be hard. It'll be hard to not worry about the future because ultimately, I mean, the future is what you look forward to every day. I mean, there's some people that worry about the past and, have guilt and worry about the past. And there's some people like me that worry about the future. But if you remain in the present and focus on what you have going on day by day, then life will be good for you. And you'll be out of peace of mind. Because once again, if you worry about the future, that worry will become a concern. And that concern will become anxiety. And anxiety tears apart the human mind gracefully. Like, personally, I have anxiety, a lot of anxiety. I don't like big crowds. I don't like, a lot of people around. But, in my life, I have to deal with that. And ultimately, I've done great, controlling my anxiety and coping with my anxiety as well. But, every day I pray to God to take away all the nervousness, the anxiety, and the doubt, because there's no need for that. I wake up every morning and I glorify Him, and ultimately, if I do that, He'll grant me with a glorious, everlasting life. And one thing I want to leave you guys with is a quote from the Bible is Matthew 6:34. It says, "Therefore, don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble on its own." And as it says for itself, each day has its own problems. You don't want to worry so much about tomorrow, knowing you got a test today. Like, let's say, I had a test today and I didn't go to school. I'm not gonna lie to you, but yeah, you could have a test today and you're worried about your next exam next week. You're gonna end up failing that test today because you're so worried about what's going on next week. If you focus on what you have today and the problems you have today, then next week is gonna come, and you're gonna be more prepared for next week because you already handled what you had to handle today. Don't go on worrying about the next day, because ultimately today has enough trouble on its own. So like I said, man, never be afraid of any challenge or never be afraid to a challenge. Wait, never be afraid to challenge. Wait, hold on, wait, my bad. Never be afraid to challenge impossible. What that means is a lot of people allow fear to really get to them, and fear is just, obviously it allows you to really realize you're human, but it's just a word. You shouldn't live life in fear, because ultimately if you live life in fear, you'll never get anything done. You'll never be who you truly want to be because you're scared to do something. Never live this life to be afraid to do something. Never be afraid to challenge the impossible, because impossible is just ultimately, another phrase for those who have allowed fear to overcome their life. Never allow this word to overcome you. It's just a word. It's just a feeling. And it's nothing real. Obviously, it tells you if things are real or not. But, let's say I ain't gonna lie. If I'm on the field and I know you're scared, oh, yeah, I'm gonna, you already know. Like, that's just what it is. If you go into things being afraid, then you're not going to go into it being your best self. If you live in fear, you're not going to go into life being your best self. So ultimately, you just gotta never be afraid to challenge impossible, because nothing in this life is impossible. Because I mean, honestly, if you just be that person to be like, oh man, forget this, like nothing in this life is impossible. I'm gonna be the person to challenge it. I'm gonna be the person to overcome it, because nothing in this life is impossible. I mean, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this story. My dad was born with clubbed feet. He was he was never ever supposed to walk in his life. And the doctor told his mom that no, they had to break his legs in multiple ways to get him to be able to like live and walk right, you know? And he had all the odds against him. All the odds. Ultimately he was raised by his grandparents, and he was small. He wasn't the biggest. But as he got to high school, he started playing football, and honestly his grandparents didn't want him to play. I think he wanted to play basketball, and he wasn't the best hooper. So especially with his uncles made him not like basketball, because I remember him telling me this story. Whenever he was younger, his uncles practically used to bully him, pack all his shots, send him to the stands. It made him fall out of love with the game because he wasn't as good as his uncles, who were 6'3" and 6'7". But I'm saying all this to say, he had all the odds against him. He went to Northwestern as a walk-on. He actually told me this last night. He went to Northwestern as a walk-on, and one of his main goals, just like mine, was to play and start as a freshman. And he didn't let the fear of, the upperclassmen overcome him. He didn't let the fear of failure overcome him. He kept his head down and he kept working. Ultimately, my dad finished his career with, I think, 400, 500 total tackles. He was the either number one or number two leading tackler on the team. My dad was actually a Hall of Famer at the university, and he was one of the only Hall of Famers in his class. And he ended up being a starter, and he ended up getting the opportunity. But that's only because he didn't go into things with fear. He challenged the impossible. He kept his head down as a walk-on and took his spot, because he didn't let the impossible overcome him. He didn't let fear overcome him. And I'll forever praise him for that, because he'll tell me that story just to get me riled up and just, really just tell me or allow me to know like anything's possible if you put your mind to it. And I mean, I know I'm going into this as an 18-year-old boy. I'm going to be new to the college experience, but I'm not going to let my mindset overcome what I truly want in this life. And that's going back to say, like, your mindset and how you think plays a huge, huge part in how you live on a day-to-day basis. If you wake up with it on your mind, you're going to have it on your mind. You're going to go into a thing. You're going to go into things attacking it. You're going to attack it head first, head down, no matter what. You're going to attack it. But if you go into things, desperate, depressed, sad, you're not really going to go into it, your best self. So that's another thing for you. You're not going to, if the way you think definitely plays a huge part in how you view things. So basically, I'm saying all this to say, recently I've just been so worried about my future that, like I said, I forget to live in my youth. And as an 18-year-old kid, to anybody that's a kid or anybody that's living out there, listening to this, I want you to, remain in the moment, live in the moment. Like I said, don't worry about tomorrow, because today has enough problems itself. Don't be so worried about the future or the past, and let it overcome you. Worry about today, because life's too short to be so worried about something you don't even know is guaranteed or not. And that's real. I mean, I could die today, knock on wood, but, at least I knew I wasn't worried about, the next day. I was worried about the day, and I fulfilled everything I needed to do today to make sure, I lived right today. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm going to leave you guys with this, Once again, you got to be the difference. I mean, you're not going to have daily motivation every day. Ultimately, I don't have motivation every day to wake up, to work out every morning at 5 a.m., to eat right, to sleep right. There's going to be times where I want to be an 18-year-old kid. I want to go out and party, but, you just got to be the difference. Like I said, like I always say, guys, being the difference will get you where you want to be in this life. If you be the difference and you take the different route and you be unique, you'll forever surpass whatever bump in the road or the so-called impossible. Nothing in this life is impossible if you go after it and you attack it on a day-to-day basis with a great mindset and a great, like I said, word of the, really just attacking it in general. I mean, if you be the difference and you allow yourself to challenge the impossible, not be fearful, overcome your feelings, overcome that bad habit or that bad mindset, you will achieve anything in this life, especially as a student athlete. There's going to be times where people doubt you on the internet. For instance, for me, a lot of people are going to have told me I'm going to not be who I want to be here at LSU. They expect me to transfer. They expect me to be a bust. They expect me to not be as good as I say I want to be. But honestly, I use that as fuel to the fire. No other person will ever tell me what I'm going to be, because I'm not going to allow them to make a mark on my life and, have such an impact on my life, because ultimately it's for me. It's my life. And you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to do it my way. And I'm not going to let somebody else tell me how things are going to go. I'm going to be like my dad. I'm going to be like my older brother. I'm going to, no, matter of fact, forget that. I'm going to be better than them, because ultimately I want what's best for me, and I want a better life for myself. I'm just using them as, a blueprint to know what to do and how to do it. But ultimately, I'm going to be better than them because, they made their mistakes in life. And they're obviously teaching me how to live this life without making the same mistakes they have. So, listening to them and their blueprints and what they have going on and their teachings for me, I don't have room to make mistakes. I have nothing but room to be better than them. Sometimes you're going to feel like you're, stuck in quicksand, like you're not going to be going anywhere. Like things won't be as productive, and, things won't be as, the results you want in a way. But ultimately, you have to look past that. If you ask God for a sign, ultimately the sign will be within you. It will be there. You just got to look for it. And like I actually told my little brother this not too long ago. If you have a dream, if you want to be something, you have to find it within yourself every day to attack it with a great mindset. There's going to be days where you don't feel like doing it. There's going to be days where you're not going to be motivated, but you have to be disciplined, real life discipline, to wake up every morning to attack it with a great mindset every day. But, there's been times where I felt like crap, waking up at 4 a.m, 5 a.m, and I didn't really feel like doing it. But, I got on my knees and I prayed. I prayed to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ that, I needed him to give me strength, to remain disciplined, to not procrastinate, and ultimately to not be like everybody else. Like I said, I want to be the difference. I want to give kids hope and dreams that it's possible. I dream to give my little brother hope that it's possible. He's seen me. He literally seen me do it all by myself. Obviously with my mother, but he's seen me go through the process, doing things on my own that ultimately my brother did with my father, and he exceeded. He ended up being the number one player in the nation. But I did it all on my own, and ultimately I can't be hard on myself. If anything, I have to be proud of myself. I can be proud of myself because, like I said, considering I did it on my own without, as much of a male figure in my life, all I can really say is I'm proud of myself. There's been times where, I didn't really think I was the best. I didn't really think I was, gonna be where I am now. But, I found it within myself. And like I said, I told my little brother this the other day. I found it within myself and I drove. I drove hard and I had a dream and I achieved it. And now look at me. I'm signed to one of the best colleges and will be the number one college in National College Football League, National College in general, very, very soon. And you could quote me on that. We're the best in the country, and that's just what it is. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I mean, I found it within myself, and I didn't let fear or anything overcome me because I knew it was gonna be hard. I seen it with my older brother. I seen how he went into things with his head down, but he worked. He didn't say too much or nothing, but I knew it was hard for him. There's been times where he didn't want to wake up, but he did, and his work ethic and his discipline is what inspired me and still inspires me till this day. I actually talked to him this I think yesterday morning or yesterday afternoon, and he was just telling me how good I have it, and he's gonna continue to push me. He's gonna continue to work me and work on me, but he sees something in me that I don't see in myself sometimes. And sometimes you need that extra push. Sometimes you need that reassurance from somebody else. And that's where, coming to talk to anybody else about your problems plays a huge part in your life. You're never alone. You will never be alone. And that's what many athletes forget. One of my friends was just on the campus was just telling me how they're going to go talk to their sports therapist. There's nothing wrong with being overwhelmed or having anxiety or overthinking. There's always a way you could come talk to it about anybody, even, a close friend, family member, or a peer. A lot of people think they're alone in this process when it's not. Obviously it's a hard process, but, going into it with the weak mindset will get you ran over in this life. In today's society, the world will chew you up and spit you out going into things with a weak mindset. You have to be strong mentally and physically, because ultimately if you go into things with a weak mindset, like I said, the world will chew you up and spit you out, and ain't much you can really do about it after that. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do when the world do that? Are you going to sit there and, cry and weep and be like, oh, man, I wish I could have did this. I wish I could have did that. Or are you going to get up and try again? A lot of people tend to quit and give up. But one thing about myself, I hate quitting. I literally hate it with everything in me. I will literally do anything else but quit. I mean, because I came really far. As a kid, I didn't have it in me. I didn't have the dog I have in me now. And that's saying as much to say, like, you have to find it within yourself. Pretty much. You have to find it within yourself to want it as bad as you want to breathe. And ultimately, I want this dream so bad as I want to breathe. Like, I ain't gonna lie, yesterday, I was pretty emotional. I was. Because, there's a difference between saying it and really living it. It's easier said than done. And, I know I come on here and talk, and, I give you guys some knowledge to, go on the everyday life to live on. But like I said, it's very easier said than done. And sometimes I do overthink. I do overwhelm myself. And I'm very hard on myself. And that just means I'm human. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not going to be, what I'm speaking. Like I said, it's very easier said than done. And, ultimately I have to find it within myself to not worry. I have to make the decision to not worry every day, or to not overwhelm myself, or to not be hard on myself, because ultimately I can be grateful for where I'm at right now. I'm at a really good spot, and sometimes it's really good to know that you're in a good spot. If you feel like you have nobody, you'll always have the Lord by your side, because if you wake up every morning and ask, this is something I do. I wake up every morning and I pray. I stretch. I have this early morning routine before I go work out. I wake up, I get on my knees and I pray, and I stretch. Stretching is a huge part of my recovery, and without me stretching, I'll be tight as ever. So I stretch, and I ask the Lord every time I pray for discipline, but honestly, to really just find it within myself to keep going. I ask him, for guidance. I ask him for guidance as well. The Lord has a plan for you. He has a plan for everybody. And like I said previously, he will never give you a dream too big for you to not handle. he will always have something in store for you, and he will always remain faithful in you. You just have to, reciprocate that feeling. And if you remain faithful in him and trust in his process, ultimately he'll have good things for you. And, I just want to leave you guys with that. Just continue to remain faithful. Find it within yourself and, keep going. Really just keep going, because it's going to be hard, and it will be hard no matter what. Also, there's a difference between being hard on yourself and truly wanting more in this life than just the social norm. You can always be hungry for more, because if you remain satisfied with just being normal, then you're going to be like everybody else. You're going to be like the next man. Like I said before, if you be the difference and you remain different from everybody else, you'll continue to get what you want in this life, and you'll be different from the next man. You'll be bigger, you'll be stronger, you'll be smarter. If you push yourself past the limit, past the ceiling, you'll exceed very much further than your peers in this life, because a lot of people are very much satisfied with being normal. But for me, I want to be great. I'm gonna ask you guys this: what do you want to be in this life? You want to be like everybody else? You want to be like the next man? You want to be like a little Julie over there or little Sam over there? Or you want to be the next great you? You want to be the next great yourself. You want to be the next great person in your family. And one thing about me, I'm going so hard because I want to create generational wealth for the next, above me, whether it's in my family or not. I want to create, I want to inspire the next man to keep going or to go harder than me, because ultimately being the difference is, for me, is inspiring the next man to be different. You get what I'm saying? It's inspiring the next person to be unique or be different from everybody else. And nothing's wrong with that at all. There's always, you can always find yourself being hungry and being better than the next man, because you desire much more than the normal. And those desires will become needs, and those needs will become wants, and that want will ultimately become what you will have. You just have to find it within yourself and to, keep going and to really just push yourself through that ceiling. And ultimately, there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. Never be fearful and never let that feeling overcome you. And once again, be the difference. You guys have a good day, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
They don't really know you in my city. I'ma have to silence all the critic. Been doing it since young and I'm committed. Running up the numbers, check the analytics. Hey, but just don't catch me in the red zone. Hey, cause I'ma put it in the end zone. Hey, put me in, I'm the cheat code. Hey, coach, put me in.